If it just means more in the SEC, then how much does this game that's always meant the most now mean to fans on both sides of the Red River? The answer is the same as when Superman soared and Baker brought his boys back and Bud, Barry, and Bob sent the eyes of Texas crying out onto the midway of the State Fair of Texas. This game doesn't just mean more, it couldn't mean any more. From inside Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, it's Sooner Game Day presented by Taco Mayo. Tap the app and save 25%. It's the 121st edition of a rivalry that started in 1900 and has been played inside the Cotton Bowl every year since 1937. The 6th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners and the now unranked Texas Longhorns. Kickoff 2:30, ABC TV, with the Sooners having won 5 out of the last 7 meetings in the series. We welcome you inside our studios here. 6 of Oklahoma's 8 SEC foes are ranked in the top 25 this week. Texas is not one of them. Not what I had 6 weeks ago. I don't know about these guys. I don't think it matters, though. You know my partners, you just saw one of them right there, the Butkus Bednarik Award-winning linebacker at Oklahoma, the national champion, Teddy Lehman, and the Werfel Trophy winner, Academic All-American of the Year and All-American Center, Gabe Eichert. We should mention our normal producer, Grant Wade, is on his honeymoon/wedding in Hawaii. So, Grant, aloha. We'll try not to run this up onto the beach this week.
Who gets married during OU Texas
It's a valid question.
Just an insane thing for Grant Wade to do. I love the man. He's fantastic, Ted, but that is the boldest of bold decisions. Probably a lot cheaper this time of year in Maui, though.
It kind of feels like he buckled under the stress of the football game and
I think
said,
that's what happened.
Just best that I get out of the continental United States.
Probably so. Who's going to buckle this week? I mean, how has your perception of this game and its potential changed from what we had at the beginning of the season 6 weeks ago, Ted?
Well, it's changed a lot for reasons that I could not have projected. You know, I think, number one, the way our defense is playing. I thought our defense had a chance to be as good, maybe better than last year, and they've been unbelievable. And I think that's the biggest factor in this football game. You know, John Mateer, the injury, that's a factor. How Texas's offense has played, and they haven't really pulled it all together. There's a bunch of moving parts going on right now, so it's a strange one to look at whenever you compare what you thought of at when the season started.
From a perception standpoint, this may sound strange, but it really hasn't changed all that much for me. Mm-hmm. There were question marks coming into the year for Texas. There were question marks coming into the year for OU. Now, it feels like we've answered more of the questions in a positive manner than Texas has up to this point. But coming into the year, I always thought this was going to be a massive game for both teams and for what the season for both teams would be. And that's what it is. I mean, Texas desperately needs this game to put together a decent season. Now, I feel like the talks of Arch winning the Heisman Trophy, them winning a national championship, those conversations are over. But are they going to be a 7-5 team when they went into the season, preseason number 1? Like, this is a game they need. And then I think we can all agree, and I know that John Mateer's status for this game is up in the air, and what that looks like for the rest of the season, we'll see. But OU has a chance to have a special season. This is a college football playoff caliber team. And if you are a college football playoff caliber team and the opponent is limping into this game the way that Texas is limping into it, you go win on Saturday.
Yep.
Just bottom line.
Quarterback's are front and center. Let's start with John Mateer. It would be 17 days since surgery on his throwing hand for John Mateer. Can he be ready? Is he ready? He's, you hear reports, he's pushing to play. He's chomping at the bit. Obviously, he's a competitor. Can he be ready to play in this game, theoretically?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it'd be a discussion if there wasn't a chance that he was playing in the game.
Right.
First injury report comes out, questionable. I think it's going to continue to be questionable. Now, there's a conversation to be had about, is it the smartest thing for him to play in this game? I don't know, but I know this. I've been around John Mateer enough now to know that that guy's got a lot of crazy in him. He's a football player. He's not just a quarterback. He's a football player. He's from Little Elm. He knows what this game is all about. He grew up around it. I just expect him to play because I think that's why he went and got the surgery when he did. It's like he wanted to play in this game. Will he play in this game? I have no idea.
But you said you expect him to play.
It's because he seems crazy to me.
In a good way.
In a good way. In a, like, this guy, like, if he was an inside backer, he'd go out there and play. Like, we got Heineke out there playing with a broken hand and a cast on it.
Yeah.
You know, cast on it. I don't know. I get that type of vibe from Mateer, but I don't know. I have no clue if he's going to play on Saturday. I think we're all going to find out at the same time.
Ted, does it not come down to a clearance to be able to play and him saying yes, if he's possibly cleared for this thing?
Well, yeah, I would assume so. Here's the thing. He's been designated as questionable. If you believe those reports for what they are, and he is in fact questionable, then there's no question that he'll play. You're just not going to convince him that, well, you know, how does it feel? If it's that way at all, if it's questionable, then in my mind, he is going to go out there and compete.
If it's questionable, there's no question that he will play.
That's how I view it.
Okay.
In the NFL, when you're questionable, you play.
Okay. And we say questionable. SEC requires injury reports of all of the teams when you get into these conference games, and that is his official listing on Oklahoma's injury report this week. Now to the other quarterback who's front and center, and that's Arch Manning. Let's be honest. Did the media do him a disservice by making him the Heisman favorite coming into the year? You could dispute that, but it doesn't matter at this point. He hasn't lived up to what he was built up to be. That's the fairest way to say it, Teddy. So what's going on with Arch Manning?
Well, yeah, I would say the media did do him a disservice before the season, and I think the media is doing a disservice now by acting like he's the worst quarterback in college football, which isn't the case. They've had their struggles. The biggest struggles that they've had have been on the offensive line. They lost a bunch of really good veteran players from a year ago, and it just hasn't come together like they had hoped up to this point. Arch Manning is still a good athlete. He made a bunch of plays. He's avoiding pressure in the pocket. He was under a tremendous amount of pressure in this football game, but he's had his problems. He's been inaccurate. I think the clock in his head has been sped up by some of the offensive line problems, but the point for me is that he can still make you pay both with his legs and on the deeper routes. He's way better than people are making him out to be at this point. And they're going to have some stuff in this game. He's going to make some plays in this game.
He's a good player. He's not nearly as bad as some people want to think that he is. Teddy was nice about what's going on with their offensive line. I will not be as kind. They're bad. They're not helping Arch Manning at all. He's under constant pressure, and more importantly, they can't run the ball at all. Sarkisian, his offense goes with the run game. Everything he does, all the play action stuff, all the route combinations, all the screen game, it builds off having an efficient run game. And they can't run it because their offensive line can't hold up at the point of attack. They've struggled in protection. Arch got sacked 6 times against Florida. It could have been 10, maybe 12. So I am impressed with how he's handled everything because I haven't heard him blame anyone else.
Yeah.
He takes it. He knows what comes with playing quarterback at Texas. He understands it. He knows what the expectations coming into the season were, but I haven't heard the guy throw a teammate under the bus, and I respect that.
I do know this, despite what Texas gave up to Florida last week, you got 2 of the best defensive units in the country. Oklahoma is number 1 in the country in total defense. Texas now 13th. They were a top 10 total defensive team before what happened to them in the swamp just last week. And bear this in mind, the team that wins the rushing battle, last 25 Red River rivalry games, the team that wins the rushing battle has won 24 of the 25 meetings between these teams. Not a big statistical guy, but that certainly says something. Coming up next on Sooner Game Day, we're going to let these guys play defensive coordinator Pete Kwiatkowski for Texas. Sooner Game Day is always presented by Taco Mayo, getting you set for the Red River rivalry coming up at 2:30 on Saturday down in Austin. Gabe, I think that's already 2 of those for the show. We'll see if you can get your allotment of 10 before it's over with.
There's going to be a lot more.
So we talked quarterbacks a little bit in the first segment. We're going to let you guys play defensive coordinator Pete Kwiatkowski and his staff, because it's a vast staff on the defensive side at Texas. So John Mateer, he's got a rushing and a passing touchdown, both in each game for the last 10 games he's played, going back to last season. Mike Hawkins is similar. It's not like you're preparing for either Peyton Manning or Michael Vick in this situation, right? But how would you prepare as a defensive coordinator in this situation?
Well, we heard Sark early in the week say, they're going to prepare for Mateer and prepare for this offense specifically, not so much the quarterback that's running it. And I think that's kind of how you have to operate. Mike Hawkins brings a lot in the run game. So does John Mateer. And I think you have to prepare for either or both. I think there's a chance that we could see both. That's probably the smallest chance, but the question for me is, okay, if Mateer does go, and to your point about the running game, Chad, winning the rushing battle, quarterback run game has been the best part of our running game the entire year. How much would you want John Mateer running the football if he is back with those guys clawing and punching at the football? I don't know. So in order to get that piece of the offense, do they bring Mike Hawkins in, who can still do both? And you have to, treat him as a real quarterback. It's not like a wildcat situation. So that's something to think about. But I think the right way to do it is kind of what you heard Sark. You have to prepare for the offense and what they've presented. And I know that we're going to have some type of wrinkles. There's going to be some unique stuff that we throw out there. There always is at this point in the season with big football games. But quarterback run game for them is probably going to be the biggest piece, especially in the running game, that they're going to have to really prepare for. And lucky for them, I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between the two players there.
I think Texas is going to do what they do defensively. I've studied their defense I've probably watched every snap they've played on defense for the last 3 seasons. And they are a 4-2-5, they'll play zone, they'll play man defense. They hardly blitz at all. I think they're to come out there and think they can do what they do, whether it's Hawkins or Mateer. Now, where I think they're going to have 2 different plans is if Mateer can't play, they're going to feel less threatened in the passing game, just by what Michael Hawkins has put on tape.
That's fair. That's fair.
Up to this point. And I don't think that would surprise anyone to hear. So how will that change what their coverage strategy is? I would assume with how much we've struggled to run the ball, either way, they're going to try to eliminate the big play in the passing game, sit in a 2-high shell, sit in cover 4 and go, all right, guys, prove to us you can run it against the core of our defense, which is the strength of what Texas does defensively. So I think whether it's Hawkins or Mateer, the plan for Texas is going to be very, very similar. They do what they do. They line up, let their guys go out there and play fast, and they just expect their guys to be better than the guy across from them.
One thing they do well is take the football away. They led the SEC, 31 takeaways last season. This year, 9 takeaways. They've got 5 picks, 4 fumble recoveries this year. So keep the ball security thing in mind.
Anthony Hill Jr. is one of the best I've seen when it comes to punching the ball out. We know firsthand from last year, right?
Yep.
But he takes a big swing with that right arm and tries to punch a hole in the football.
Yep.
So ball security, that hasn't really been an issue for us with the running back position.
Yeah.
We've had some exchange issues, but the running backs have held on to it really, really well. That needs to continue on Saturday.
We talked quarterbacks in the first segment. We're going to talk more quarterbacks and more quarterbacks. The only quarterback with the potential to likely start in this game who started last year is Michael Hawkins for Oklahoma. Remember, he was the first ever true freshman quarterback to start the Oklahoma-Texas game for Oklahoma. There have been other red shirts who have started the Oklahoma-Texas game. He's been down that tunnel. He's a Texas guy as well. This means a lot to him. But after what you saw last week against Kent State and what you feel like he needs to do in this game, Gabe, what does Oklahoma need from Michael Hawkins if he goes out there?
Take what the defense gives you. I was surprised that Hawk played the way he did against Kent State. He's better than that. The fundamentals got away from him. I think, not to make excuses for him, I think the situation with Keontez Lewis to start that game shook him up a little bit, and that kind of lingered and affected the way that he played. But he's better than that. I've seen it out on the practice field. At all the arm angles, I haven't seen any of that from him. I don't know where that came from. So I think that being able to evaluate that tape, as a player, you go, what was I doing? What was that? And I think he probably had that moment this week. And if he is the guy, I think it's very important for Ben Arbuckle to get him some easy throws early.
Yeah.
Texas will give up the running back in the flat. Just toss it out there on some swing routes. Throw some of those quick screens. Just get him some confidence builders early. Get the juices flowing. Get the positivity flowing. Get him on the move. Some sprint pass, some boot, and just allow him to settle in the game. It's become pretty clear at this point in his career, he's not terribly comfortable just playing from the pocket like we've seen from John Mateer.
Yeah.
So don't ask him to do a bunch of it, especially against a good defense in Texas that has a really good pass rush. So I think building that confidence for him early, getting him some easy throws, getting him involved in the run game a little bit, let him get hit a couple times. It kind of settles you down in a weird way in this game. I think that's going to be very, very important for Ben Arbuckle if Hawkins is the guy at quarterback.
Well, whether it's Hawkins or Mateer, the first thing that needs to happen is the offensive line needs to play better.
Correct.
All right? We got to have some protection there in the pocket. And, OU Texas is not the game where you start to feel comfortable, right? I mean, there's a lot of stress in this one. We all know that. But if we can hold up a little bit better on the offensive line, you're right. The quick, easy throws. I believe that our offense is best, whether it's Hawkins or Mateer, when we spread people out and take advantage of the athleticism at the skill positions, the short to intermediate passing game, try and get our guys the ball and let them make a guy miss out in space.
Now, they did run for 185 against Kent State last week, Gabe.
Just don't.
Yeah, what's
no.
Okay.
No.
No,
not good enough.
No, that's not. It's got to get better.
There's a way it's supposed to look.
Gotcha.
And that's not what it looks like.
Okay.
And that group knows that. That group knows that. And one of the things, if it is Hawkins, run him more. He can run.
Yeah.
He can really run. And obviously Mateer can really run. But with the thumb, how much is Arbuckle going to want to allow Texas players to punch at that thumb, rip at it, take a helmet to it, like those situations? That becomes an interesting decision process for Arbuckle if it is Mateer. But I think we can get to more QB run game with Michael Hawkins. There's some things formationally that I like in this game where the QB run game into the boundary against this Texas defense, I think there can be some money made there, but you got to be willing to run them. QB sweep, QB counter, all the zone read stuff. I think it's all good, and I think Hawkins runs that stuff well. I would be surprised if it is Hawkins if we don't see a larger QB run component to the game plan than we saw a week ago against Kent State. You got to do whatever you got to do to go win this one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not Kent State.
The other thing about this game, there's inevitably one or two crazy plays, whether it's a trick play that's called, a turnover, potentially it's special teams. Who knows what it is? Ted, Oklahoma's special teams have been very good. Tate Sandel's 9 of 10 in the field goal department. We've watched Miller. Half his punts have been 50 yards plus, and it feels like Isaiah Satania is, first off, you got to have ball security back there when you're returning punts. But it feels like Oklahoma can make a difference with special teams. Do you get that sense that in this game where so many crazy things can happen, Oklahoma's got some guys who can do some crazy things?
Yeah, I think that with the way this football game looks coming in, where we've got a couple of really good defenses and two offenses that have struggled a little bit, potentially a quarterback out, I believe it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think special teams is going to tell the story. It's going to be a field position battle game. I think it's going to be a field goal kicking contest at times, and if you can create something explosive, I mean, just think whenever you've got offenses that are struggling, if your starting position is you're averaging around midfield or, the 45-yard line, how much easier it's going to be for points than if you're, backed up and can't get anything going and it just constantly playing from your end of the field. That's not what you want in a game where your offense is struggling and you got these defenses out there. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about everything else, and there's going to be some plays happen. Guys are going to make some plays, but ultimately, through the duration of the game, I think the story is going to be told through special teams.
I don't want to say too many good things about him.
I know, right?
I don't. But this is what this is what I know.
Okay.
Special teams after the Michigan game, we were going, this needs to get fixed. And to their credit, it has gone from a talking point in a negative way to now we are all glowing about our special teams. It has to be a strength for us in the Cotton Bowl. It just absolutely has to be. You can't miss kicks. If you have a chance to pin Texas deep, you have to pin them deep. You can't punt it in the end zone. Yep. Those will be critical situations in this game because I think this is going to be a low-scoring, close game. And in a low-scoring, close game, we don't like to talk about it, but field position is very important.
Don't leave any out there. Don't leave any yards. Don't leave anything out there.
Venables talks about the hidden yardage a lot.
Right.
And this is a hidden yardage game, for sure.
Oklahoma special teams have been good. Defense has been great. In fact, it's been the best in the country by total defense, by sacks per game, by tackles for loss per game. Are they frothing at the mouth to go against a Texas offense that has underperformed and especially did last week against Florida? We're talking about the Sooner defense next. Tough day in the swamp. Many teams have had that. But they gave up 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hurries, 2 Arch Manning interceptions, and the Longhorns ran the ball 26 times for 27 total yards. Ooh. It would appear as though Oklahoma has the defensive personnel to do what Florida did. So, Teddy, what was that formula, and how does Oklahoma's personnel fit the ability to repeat a performance against this Texas offense like that?
Well, Florida dominated the line of scrimmage, clearly, as you can see from those statistics. And, Florida didn't have to bring a crazy amount of pressure to do that. They were able to win up front in some one-on-ones. So, when you've seen Venables for the most part of this season, a lot of pressures, a lot of guys coming from different parts of the field. We'll bring it off the edge. We'll bring a corner. We'll bring both backers on the inside, add a safety to the rush. And I think we're going to do that. He's going to do what he does. He's going to ramp up the pressure on Arch in the pocket, and it's also helped us a lot in the run game. But, I also think that we're going to be able to do what Florida did as well. I love our defensive line. Our 4-man rush with some of the games and stunts and one-on-ones that they win up front, I think they can have a lot of success. So, you just got to imagine that Venables is going to pick his spots very selectively to sell out and bring some pressures because, you look at the Florida game. The only thing that kept Texas in the Florida game was the chunk plays down the field. And I think that's going to be the same thing for them in this week is, if they can get a one-on-one on the outside and go make a play on a 50-50 ball, that's probably going to be a big part of their offense. And then obviously Arch pulling it down, whether it's some called run stuff or he's, gets in the scramble game and takes off. So, I think we just kind of do what we've done. And I'm kind of shocked to say that maybe we bring less pressure because of that situation, not more. But whatever you think, Venables is going to do the opposite and catch everyone by surprise. He is the best at putting game plans together for big games.
Just strictly against the run. You know, Texas has struggled to run it. In 4 of their 5 losses over the last 2 years, they've only averaged 2 yards per game on the ground, and this Oklahoma rush defense so far is surrendering about 2.5, 2.4, 2.5 yards per carry. That's 5th nationally. So that kind of leads you to believe what Teddy's talking about. Oklahoma can control the line of scrimmage. David Stone's having a great year. You've seen number 0 playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage constantly this year. Gabe.
There's no doubt about it. I will be stunned if Texas finds their run game in this game. They just
Totally
have
agree.
not run it efficiently, and it goes back to the offensive line problem that we talked about earlier. They are not winning their battles at the point of attack. I don't all of a sudden expect them to start winning their battles at the point of attack against the best defensive line that they've played, because OU's defensive line is better than Florida's. I mean, it's not even a debate. OU's defensive line is better than Florida's. So I'm curious as to what Sark's strategy is going to be with the run game, because you don't want to abandon it completely, but also you don't want to waste plays. And I could imagine him looking at the film and going, man, if I run it 35 times, I feel like I'm wasting plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll see more of the quick game in the passing game, because they're going to turn on the film and go, we just saw what happened against Florida. Our guys are not going to hold up for long enough for Arch to sit back in the pocket and go through his reads. I think you'll see more quick throws to the outside. You'll see more screens, those quick screens to the outside, to try to just get the ball away from our vicious defensive line and try to let those Longhorn athletes go make some plays in space. But they've tried everything in the run game. Zone, gap schemes, pin pull, QB run. Like, they've tried a lot, and they just haven't been able to find anything consistent. The most consistent thing they've done as a rushing football team is Arch Manning drops back, the left guard gets beat like a drum, and then he somehow avoids the sack and goes and runs for a big gain. That's been their best play in the running game, and I'm not even kidding.
Turnovers. We talk about it in every game, but it seems like in games like this, they mean even more. It's almost like 1 turnover equals 2. And Oklahoma got 2. First 2 of the season last week saw our Mason Thomas get the sack, the fumble, and Grayson Halton, a big man touchdown, was so good to see. You get 1 more. After that, you get the interception. But now, Teddy, can the floodgates open on the turnover machine? It happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's strange that it took this long to get any turnovers as good as they're playing. You don't create that much chaos in the backfield. Create the confusion on the back end, put the quarterback under stress as much as they have, and not get turnovers. It's been odd. So yeah, I mean, it was a shock that it took as long as it did, and it would be a shock for me if we don't force 1, 2, or more in this football game. They're gonna come. Whenever you play like this and you're constantly in the backfield, the turnovers are coming. So yeah, I totally expect them to create multiple turnovers in this game.
Grayson Halton acted like he's done that before, because
Right.
he has done
That's
that before. That combination right there.
Went with the Elvis Presley crazy legs right there.
I like that.
That's good.
Hey, when you pick it up, you can do whatever you want with it, big fella. Just keep doing it, right?
No doubt.
Oklahoma and Texas, 2:30 at the Cotton Bowl coming up on Saturday. We're talking The Scoop, presented by your neighborhood Brahms ice cream and dairy stores, farm fresh for over 50 years. You're Brent Venables, Teddy. How can you make Arch Manning's afternoon in the Cotton Bowl as miserable as possible? What's the scoop?
I think he's going to do what he always does, and he always gets to it several different ways. He's going to change looks, multiple fronts, multiple blitzes, change up coverages on the back end, run different personnel in constantly, so it's hard to get a feel for what each individual guy is doing. And he'll take his moments where he brings all-out pressures, and then the next time you have a similar situation, whether you had success or not with that pressure previously, you're going to show another all-out pressure and then drop into a full coverage, constantly changing the look on the quarterback. It's what makes our defense so special.
It all starts with them shutting down the run game, though.
Yep.
You got to get Arch Manning in those 2nd and long, 3rd and medium to long situations where Venables can get to all of those pressures or simulated pressures. Teddy mentioned it earlier. Arch Manning is sped up. It's because his offensive line can't protect him. So whether you're actually bringing the pressure or you're just giving the illusion that you're bringing the pressure, the goal is get him in those situations where that mind is moving quickly for Arch Manning, because when you're sped up, that's when you make mistakes.
You mentioned the offensive line. We've talked about it a couple of times. They've had their struggles. Running back has been a beat-up situation. Trey Wisner, he's a good running back. I mean, he is one of the top guys in the country.
1,000-yard
when
back
healthy.
a year ago.
Hasn't been healthy. You know, he tried to come back and play against Florida last week. First time since the opener. Kind of grabbing his leg once again on the sideline. C.J. Baxter might also be out. Gabe, where is Texas at running back right now?
They're down the depth chart, playing young guys. That's also part of the issue with the running game. Now, I don't know how many times I have to say it. The problem for their offense is their offensive line. They have gone, in all seriousness, they've gone from one of the best groups in the SEC to one of the worst. And that's the origin of their issues offensively. But yeah, it doesn't help when you don't have your most dynamic playmakers on the field. No one knows that better than us after what we went through last season. They, in years past, Sarkisian has done a great job of getting guys the ball in space, and those guys have done a great job of making people miss. When you go through a Texas game right now, especially at the running back position, very, very few broken tackles. So all those plays that went for 25 when they broke a tackle are going for 3.
Yeah.
And that is another issue they're having. They're not making nearly as many guys miss in space as they have in the last couple seasons.
The deepest position group for Texas right now on the offense is at the wide receiver spot. Ryan Wingo's caught 4 touchdown passes. Parker Livingston, another really good wide receiver. It kind of takes you back to what Gabe said. Maybe some quick passes. Get the ball to these playmakers. See if you can get them on the edge and take a lot of the pressure on the run game and Arch Manning away, Ted.
Yeah, it's the best answer, but Oklahoma is actually probably one of the best defenses I've seen at the line of scrimmage stuff. So it's not easy to get to. And, we're going to keep saying it. It comes back to the offensive line. A lot of their problems, they start in the run game. You mentioned the yards per carry, it's down. That's why they're one of the worst third down offenses in the SEC right now. I think they're 15 out of 16 on third down conversions. And it starts with not being able to run the football. Maybe you try a line of scrimmage play and can't create anything in the passing game, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and it's really hard to convert those. So, yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to make us pay at some point down the field, because if you can't run the ball, you can't protect, and you just try and get it out at the line of scrimmage, the defense is going to creep closer and closer and closer to the line of scrimmage, trying to choke you out. So, and they can build off of those, and Sark has it in, the screen and go stuff, the double moves, they're going to have an answer to try and push the ball down the field and create some big plays. But, it's going to be incredibly difficult if they can't get anything established in early downs.
They're going to run the Cam Coleman play a couple times.
Yeah.
They have to, because at this point, they have not proven that they can hold up consistently along the offensive line. So when Arch gets some of those matchups, it's going to be Ryan Wingo. He's their big play guy. He's got really good size. He can fly. They're going to find some ways to get our corners on an island with Ryan Wingo, and Arch is going to say, all right, here we go. I'm throwing it up. Go make a play.
I think the thing that surprised many, if not most of the people, was the way that Florida's offense moved the ball against Texas's defense. Super stout, very good defense for Texas. But you got some guys, Anthony Hill Jr., Colin Simmons, I think has 1 sack after he had 9 last year. Now, they would pick Oklahoma, Texas for that breakout game now, wouldn't they? It has happened before. But this is still a really good defense. But what did Florida do to them specifically? Because that's the most success anybody's had this year against that defense.
It's unfortunate because Florida made them play a style that I don't think we can make them play. They played pretty much the entire game in 12 personnel. 2 tight ends, and they've got a tight end that may be the best blocking tight end in college football.
Yeah.
He's essentially a glorified offensive lineman. And that forced Texas to play kind of like a 3-4 structured defense, which is not really what they do. But they thought they needed to get more bodies in the box. They played 5 defensive linemen on the field the majority of the game. And they played in kind of in the interior of that look. They played in kind of these read and react stances, and they weren't very good at it. And Florida's offensive line played their best game of the year. They ran it efficiently with Jaden Ball, who is a heck of a back. And then they had guys go make plays in the passing game.
There you go right there.
I mean, they had guys. Dallas Wilson went and made plays.
Yes, it did.
Texas defense isn't going to cut anyone free. They're good. They're disciplined. They know what they're doing. But Vernell Brown, true freshman. Dallas Wilson, true freshman, went over the top of guys and made plays. And we need someone or someones to go make those types of plays in this game. Go be an OU Texas legend, boys. Come on.
Go.
Time for My Pleasure, presented by Chick-fil-A. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order all your favorites ahead of time. Teddy, what would give you the most pleasure at about 6 o'clock? Well, by the time your postgame show is over, it's going to be about 10 o'clock. I think when you get off the air and you walk out on the midway, what's going to give you the most pleasure?
Well, if I look at the stat sheet and see that our defense came and showed up like they have all season and we scored a defensive touchdown,
Ooh.
I think that's, as tight as this thing's going to be. If you can score a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown, or put it down in the deep red zone to set your offense up to punch it in, that's what I'm looking for.
No turnovers.
Yeah.
I think if we do not turn the football over and play to that defense that we've got, an elite defense that we have, maybe the best in the country, everything will be fine. Cherish the football. Play field position if you have to. Just don't give them the football.
That's My Pleasure, presented by Chick-fil-A. Coming up next, Florida did it to Texas last week. Can they do it to Texas's bitter rival, the Texas A&M Aggies, this week? Florida trying to take out another top 10 team. We're picking the games next.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola. Sooner Game Day is presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino. It's always a good time. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. The Sooner Sports Podcast is presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Sooner Game Day is presented by Sooner Kids Club. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Devon Energy. One Oklahoma, powered by Sooner Sports Properties. Fan-fueled, athlete-focused. OU's 2025 football games are available on Ritmo 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on these stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show.
Welcome back into Sooner Game Day, presented by Taco Mayo. And speaking of Taco Mayo, this is your NC Double update, presented by Taco Mayo. Download the app today. You tap it and you save 25%. Texas and Penn State preseasons number 1 and number 2 no longer in the top 25. That's the kind of year it's been so far. They've each lost twice and are trying to hang on to their individual conference races.
Texas's loss is okay. That Penn State loss to UCLA, whoa.
Unbelievable.
Whoa.
Previously winless UCLA knocks off the Nittany Lions last week. It's time for Pick'em. It is presented, as always, by Riverwind Casino. It's always a good time.
Still got my lead.
Only 2 last week. I think we each gained 1, but long way to go. It's a close race. We're not even at the midway mark. So let's get into this week's Pick'em. First off, you got number 7 Indiana in Eugene to take on number 3 Oregon. Is it going to be the Indiana team that blew the doors off Illinois, or the one that kind of got stuck in the mud a little bit against Iowa? It better be the one that played against Illinois, because Dante Moore and the Ducks, they will be ready to roll. I promise you this. Teddy, who you got?
Well, everyone gets stuck in the mud in Iowa, okay? But I'm taking Oregon in this one. I like Indiana. I like Indiana a lot. I think they're better than they were a year ago. Not ready to take them going on the road to beat Oregon, but I'm going to be watching this one closely. They do have a chance if they can keep it together.
Give me the Ducks. I think Indiana's a really good team. I think they're better than they were a year ago. I just don't think they'll be able to match the explosiveness we see from Oregon offensively. So I'll take the Ducks at home, and that place is going to be breathing fire.
I got the
is.
Ducks as well. How about Alabama, Missouri? Tigers, one of 4 remaining SEC unbeatens, but they have not beaten Alabama since 1975. That's 50 years. Neither of you was born. I'm not going to say whether or not I was. I'm going to take Alabama in this game. How about you, Gabe?
Missouri gets one of the biggest wins in program history.
Wow.
It's an 11 a.m.er, but I think that place is going to be rocking. I'm not completely sold that Alabama solved all their issues, especially defensively. Give me the Tigers to get a massive win.
I was hoping I was going to be different than you on this one, but I'm the same. I'm taking Missouri to win the game on the back of that running game. Their running game is a lot of fun to watch. They got to limit those big plays from Alabama, though.
All right, we got to hurry. Can Florida do it again? They are at Texas A&M. Is A&M get knocked from the ranks of the unbeaten, Teddy?
Give me A&M. I'll have to see it twice from Florida to believe it. I need to see that offense roll. A&M's defense really good, tough place to play.
I'll take A&M as well. I just don't trust DJ Lagway to do it again.
Agreed. Got A&M. Georgia at Auburn. They've won 8 straight in this series. Has Georgia any chance for Auburn?
They have a chance. I sense some real weakness with Georgia, but I can't pick Auburn in this game.
Georgia's not sacking people this year. Is that good for Jackson Arnold?
No, because that allows him to throw it and make more mistakes.
Ooh, that's a good point.
They'll sack people this week.
I will take Georgia.
Michigan at USC. Who you taking?
Michigan. I think they're going to take them into the deep water and choke the life out of them.
I feel like Michigan's getting better every week.
Violent.
So, yeah.
It's a violent game, Chad.
It is. It's played by men in a controlled rage, and I'm taking Michigan as well. Those are our picks for this week. Up next, some Sooners in the NFL.
Sooner Game Day is presented by Air Comfort Solutions. Your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola. OG&D. We energize life. OU Fan Shop. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. OU Health. Oklahoma's only comprehensive academic health system.
Sooners in the NFL presented by One Oklahoma, powered by Sooner Sports Properties, fan-fueled, athlete-focused. These guys making plays in the NFL.
Dude, how fun are the Bucs?
That's awesome.
Sterling Shepard
Baker
ties
Mayfield.
it. Baker Mayfield wins it.
Top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
He might be the MVP.
He's
all
front
over
runner
it.
MVP.
He's got
He's
to be.
battling Nick Benito for MVP.
right.
Nick
So-
Benito and the Broncos. Look out for that team. We close up the show with Hot Takes presented by Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today for Saturday, Ted. What's it going to be?
Well, my hot take is that Tate Sandell kicks the longest field goal in the history of the rivalry. And I don't even know what that record is, but I think it happens.
Just go 63-ish. It's got to have to be the longest.
That would be a bomb.
It would be.
This is going to sound crazy. OU's going to rush for over 125 yards in this game.
How many by the quarterback?
Like at least half.
Okay, I can go
Do I
with
need
that.
to check your temperature? You okay?
I have nothing to back up why that would happen. It's just going to happen.
I like it.
Football's weird sometimes.
You can never
Always.
predict. It's hard for a hot take because you never know what's going to happen in this game. That's the beauty of this game. We got to go. We got to hit I-35, get to the Cotton Bowl. Hope you can be there. If not, 2:30 on ABC. For Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert, I'm Chad McKee. We'll talk to you next week on Sooner Game Day, presented by Taco Mayo.